This is a forest whose existence you will not find on any map. It is said that the forest has an enticing allure that ultimately misleads those who enter it, making them unable to find a way out. The scene shows a man running, trying to find an exit from the forest. Time seems to stop, evident from the man's wristwatch, and it appears he keeps returning to the same place, marked by similar signs but with different numbers. A flock of birds flies overhead, signaling to the man that it is getting darker. He tries to climb a tree for safety, but unfortunately the branch breaks, causing him to fall, and something terrible suddenly happens to him.
It's impossible.
The scene then shifts to a gloomy girl named Mina, who works at a pet store. One afternoon during her break, Mina gets scolded for smoking carelessly. She is then introduced to a golden parakeet and given the task of transporting the bird to a sanctuary in a small town. Mina does not mind at all, but before embarking on the journey that night, she asks the parakeet to wait in her apartment as she wants to do something fun to forget her mother's death, which happened 15 years ago that day. She puts on a wig, dresses up and goes to a bar under a false name and profession just to have a one-night stand with a man. The next day, Mina starts her journey with a plea, asking the parakeet not to judge her for what she did the previous night, because she believes no one would like her true identity. Mina then leaves the town in a rental car, driving through the countryside and stopping to refuel. During the journey, she receives a call from her sister Lucy, who talks about the memorial service for their mother's death and mentions that it has been 15 years since they last met, hoping Mina is doing well. Mina ignores the message and even disregards road signs, which leads to her unknowingly entering the forest and not recognizing the area at all. Her phone and radio suddenly malfunction and her car's engine dies, forcing Mina to continue on foot. As Mina steps out of the vehicle, she finds a sign with an ominous message, hoping it means someone lives nearby. To make things easier, Mina names the golden parakeet Darwin and begins to explore while calling for help. With no response, Mina decides to return, only to find her car has vanished without a trace. With no other choice, Mina resumes her exploration, this time to find a way out. As nightfall approached, a flock of birds swiftly flew over Mina. At the same time, she heard noises and saw an old woman running quickly. Yes, you heard that right. The old woman was running and Mina struggled to catch up with her. Eventually, the woman offered her safety, but Mina was given only 5 seconds to decide whether to enter or not. The old woman introduced herself as Madeline. There were also 2 others, Kiara and Daniel, who said the building was a shelter called the Coop. They confessed they had the same fate as Mina, lost in the forest, and now sought refuge from something terrifying. Mina was soon dragged to stand in front of a 2-way mirror, while Madeline explained about a mysterious creature called the Watcher. They came every night to observe through the windows and left at sunrise. Madeline then asked Mina to step forward to please the Watcher with the presence of a new member in their performance.
Applause. For you, Mina.
What is that? What are they doing?
A welcome to the show.
After that, Mina sat in silence, reminiscing about her mother all night. In the morning, she hastily left the coop, ignoring the warnings given, and while exploring the forest, Mina heard whispers and saw a little girl in the distance. Frightened, Mina ran until she reached the top of a hill and realized she was in the middle of a vast forest with no end in sight. Upon returning, Madeline informed Mina that they had all tried to leave the coop, but none had succeeded, as the sacred forest seemed to create illusions that disturbed people's minds. Additionally, Madeline explained the signs that served as landmarks and boundaries, indicating they were in a safe zone about half a day's journey wide. According to what was written, anyone who crossed that boundary would never be able to return. No one knew who placed the signs. Kiara and Daniel liked to call the person the Professor, who might be the same person who built the coop. With no other choice, Mina returned to the coop. At night, Daniel excitedly announced to the Watcher that Mina would endure, and then invited Kiara to dance. Sometime later, they found an old reality show DVD, and Mina decided to watch it to alleviate her boredom. However, She fell silent when she saw a name on the back of the box. The next day, the group split up in the forest to find food, and Kiara introduced Mina to some medicinal plants. Kiara explained that Daniel often had headaches and mentioned John's opinion that Daniel actually liked Kiara. Speaking of John, he was Kiara's husband who left the coop 6 days ago to find a way out and unfortunately has not returned yet. Kiara agreed with Madeline that the Watcher had the ability to create illusions and drive people insane, so they had to be cautious. Kiara then showed Mina a hole or burrow, explaining that many Watchers lived in the forest and they were all connected underground like tunnels. This was where the Watchers hid from sunlight. Kiara also revealed that she had been in the forest for about 5 months, though she was not entirely sure of her calculations. During the day, when they returned, Madeline explained some absolute rules in the co-op that must be followed. They must never turn their backs on the mirror or window, never open the door at night, never approach the burrows, and always stay in the light. Time passed, and Mina, bored, occupied herself by watching reality shows and drawing in a book. One night, she stared into the mirror and heard noises from outside. Out of curiosity, she knocked on the mirror, and to her surprise, her knock was answered.
Just let them see you.
Sometime later, Daniel went to check the traps set to catch an animal, explaining that his job was to hunt, replacing John. This time, Mina joined Daniel in exploring the forest, continuously haunted by the mysterious little girl who seemed to be a hallucination. Daniel explained that Madeline was once a professor at a university, which might be why she seemed to know almost everything. Additionally, Daniel admitted to having been in the forest for about 8 months, which sounded strange to Mina. How could Daniel have been there so long without ever seeing one of the Watchers? It turned out that neither of them really believed Madeline's stories, prompting Mina to decide to enter the burrow, ignoring the rules and Daniel's concerns. Using a rope, Mina descended into the burrow, listening to Daniel's warnings to stay in the light. Mina ignored these warnings, lit a match, and began exploring until she found many old objects, including newspapers from 1992, a camera, and a doll. There was also a bicycle, which Mina sent up to Daniel using the rope. Meanwhile, she heard noises in the darkness and was suddenly startled by a mysterious figure. Later, Mina showed Kiara and Madeline all the items she had found without revealing where they came from. Mina suggested that since the car was not working, the bicycle might help them escape, but Madeline focused more on where Mina had found the items. Meanwhile, Daniel connected the camera to a power source in the coop, suspecting that the professor had set everything up to establish the place. By connecting it to the television, they now had a sort of CCTV to monitor their surroundings. At night, they sat at the table, waiting for something to appear on the monitor. They were shocked when they heard a sound followed by the appearance of feet captured by the camera, and then there was a knock at the door. The mysterious person began calling out, and Kiara became excited because it was John's voice asking to be let in. However, Madeline did not allow it, as it violated the rules, and besides, the Watchers were known to have the ability to deceive. While John continued to plead and claim he was injured, a confrontation occurred inside the coop. Madeline forced Mina and Daniel to confess that they had broken the rules. Kiara, still determined to save her husband, was advised by Madeline to ask John something only he would know. Unfortunately, John could not remember and thus could not answer. Eventually, John agreed to show his face on camera, but shockingly, something suddenly dragged him away.
Help me! Let my husband go! They're coming, places.
They do.
They're trying to get in. Get behind me.
The next morning, Madeline returned the bicycle to the burrow, hoping to appease the Watchers. Feeling guilty, Mina promised not to break the rules again. Inside the burrow, the bicycle was quickly dragged away from the light. The scene then shifted to show young Mina traveling with her twin sister Lucy and their mother. Stubborn Mina kept playing with the window, and when her mother tried to close it, Mina's fingers got caught, causing her mother to lose focus. Back in the present, Mina continued drawing signs or symbols and contemplated the idea that the forest was playing tricks on her mind. Days turned into weeks, and the weather grew colder, making the days feel shorter. Everyone lost hope of escaping and began to feel despair. Mina overheard Madeline scolding Daniel for refusing to hunt, as it would lead them all to starvation. In the coop, Ciara, still devastated, ignored everything happening, including the argument by watching reality shows while Mina continued drawing on the floor. Suddenly, when she turned around, Mina realized Ciara had disappeared. After some time running into the forest, she found Ciara at the edge of the burrow, contemplating jumping in to reunite with John. Her resolve was firm, but a scream brought Ciara back to reality, and she and Mina went to investigate the source of the noise. They discovered Daniel had tied up Madeline. Madeline claimed Daniel had lost his mind, while Daniel insisted they would no longer follow Madeline's rules and ran back to the coop. Ciara chased after Daniel while Mina untied Madeline. Both then hurried back to the coop, only to find it locked from the inside by Daniel. A flock of birds began flying around, signaling that the night creatures were coming. Their only solution was to hide in a very smelly trap that could mask their scent. When the watchers approached the coop, Daniel informed them that 2 of their group were missing, so they hurried to search for the women, making the surrounding area safe.
They're not here! They're not in here with us!
Mina and Madeline quickly ran to the door and begged for mercy. Mina also shared the story of how she caused her mother's death and lived with the guilt, hoping Daniel wouldn't feel the same. Finally, the door opened and they rushed inside. Madeline scolded Daniel, saying she should have dealt with him months ago, but it no longer mattered because they now had to face the Watchers. Standing in front of the mirror, Madeline explained her obsession with folklore and mythology. She had come to the forest for research and on her first night saw a Watcher that looked very much like her, but in a deformed state. There are many old stories claiming that Watchers are mimic fairies. They observe and learn with the ultimate goal of becoming like humans. This theory was soon proven when knocking was heard at the door, followed by the voices of Ciara and other humans as they stormed the coop.
What book am I reading?
Yeah, we're all on the edge of our seats.
Come sleep by us.
Good evening!
Daniel? Daniel?
Realizing the door wouldn't hold much longer, Mina and the others pushed a table against it. At the same time, they discovered something strange on the floor, which had been covered by a carpet. As the Watchers grew more aggressive, Daniel worked to open what they had found, a hatch leading into a bunker. Once they turned on the lights, they found themselves in the professor's study, a place filled with files, books, and enough food to last for years. There was also a computer, not connected to the internet, but Mina could access some video journals starting from 2009. The professor, known as Rory, expressed his fascination with the creatures always watching through the window. Each video showed Rory gradually losing his sanity, eventually admitting he hired locals with high wages, only to offer them as prey for the Watchers. In another video, Rory mentioned a Watcher approached him in the form of a little girl, wondering if humans could exploit the Watcher's abilities. Another video revealed that Rory had captured a Watcher, attempting to befriend him, causing the creature to become enraged. The final video on day 300 showed the professor admitting defeat. He planned to kill the Watcher and end everything, but left a message for anyone who found the video. The instructions to escape the forest were to follow the birds to the river, where a boat would be waiting. Additionally, the professor asked whoever received the message to visit his office at a university and destroy all his research files. Mina and her companions agreed to escape the forest by following Rory's instructions. At dawn, Ciara played music to celebrate and danced enthusiastically with Daniel. During this moment, Daniel shared his story of coming to the forest to escape his abusive father. A while later, as the sun rose, The group followed the signs until they found the one numbered 134. Mina released Darwin, and they eventually discovered a large stone. Madeline explained that it was a gate or door to the fairies' prison after losing a war against humans. Since then, the fairies have tried to rise again, but losing their magical wings made them unable to withstand sunlight. The escape continued, with Mina still haunted by the vision of a little girl. It began to rain and birds flew around them, signaling the approaching night. The sounds of the watchers grew closer, prompting the group to rush toward the river. As the women neared the boat, Daniel was distracted by the voice of John from the forest. He tried to drag the injured John to the shore, unaware it was a watcher.
Daniel, please take me with you. Daniel, run! It's not. Come on, John. Daniel! Daniel! Daniel!
We wait as long as we can. Get in the boat.
Madeline reassured them that the watchers couldn't leave the forest. By daybreak, the women finally found a bridge. After crossing it, they were met by a public transport vehicle. The friendly driver allowed them to board, and they didn't forget to bring Darwin along. Once at Mina's residence, she cleaned up, reflecting on the past and her mother's death. In this memory, Mina lay in the middle of the road as Lucy, with a wound on her face, approached and asked what had happened to their mother. The next day, Mina fulfilled her promise to visit the university where Rory had worked to carry out the professor's last request. Posing as a niece, she was granted entry and soon found the blueprint of the carp, the initial research files on the watchers, and a tape recorder containing some of Rory's recordings about ancient scrolls. Before the war, fairies and humans lived in harmony. Fairies served as protectors, friends, and even partners. These partnerships produced mixed children, who Rory speculated could withstand sunlight and blend into society with extraordinary disguising abilities. Mina then discovered several photographs and a piece of artwork on the wall, which left her both shocked and frightened. That night, Mina visited Chiara and showed her the photos, clearly depicting Madeline's face, who was actually Professor Rory's wife. Initially, this didn't seem strange until Mina revealed news that Madeline had died in 2001 from lung cancer. Mina suspected that Rory had tried using the watcher he captured to bring Madeline back, and eventually that watcher transformed into the Madeline they knew. Now, they just needed to wait for Madeline to arrive and reveal everything. Shortly after, a car arrived, and Mina was shocked to see Chiara stepping out of it. It turned out that the Chiara Mina had been speaking with was a watcher. The watcher had been shape-shifting to deceive them, then attacked both Chiara and Mina. In a desperate state, Mina grabbed a shard of glass to fight back. Unfortunately, the watcher quickly overpowered her, but thanked Mina for bringing it out of the forest. The watcher revealed that it had long dreamed of this because it was shunned by the other watchers due to its differences, calling it a daywalker. This was why it had approached Rory, who promised to bring it out of the forest. However, Rory tried to shoot it, forcing the daywalker to kill the professor. The daywalker shifted its form again and was ready to execute Mina. Fortunately, Mina remembered a secret Rory had kept. The daywalker could not only change shapes, but also feel the emotions of the humans it mimicked. This allowed it to understand the feelings of Madeline, Chiara, and even Mina. The daywalker then revealed its wings, and before leaving, expressed hope that what Mina said was true. Mina immediately checked on Chiara, who was luckily only injured. The film concluded with Mina visiting Lucy and her twin sons. Mina shared her stories and experiences in the forest, explaining that she sometimes felt watched by the daywalker or watcher Madeline, who blended into the crowd by taking the form of a little girl, as described by the professor. Whether the watcher would find peace or bring about threats remained unknown. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.